Alright guys, so now it's time to get our power wire from our battery over here to the amplifier over here. It's pretty simple. I'm just going to take the floor of the car out. And we are going to take a mat here. You don't want to scratch up your car with your belt buckle or anything like that, so we're going to take a mat and put it down here while we're working. I'd recommend you guys do the same. And now we're just going to take the wire that we've sent you and just going to feed it, just using your hand down here. Just feed the wire underneath because we're just going to route it over here to this side. You see, we need to go to the positive terminal of the battery. So we will take our fuse, we're going to put it right there. We're going to leave it hanging out for a bit. And then we're just going to take this wire here, and you can just literally tuck it up underneath this plastic lip here. Depends really on how in depth you want to get with this. Let me get this light down so I can show you guys. That's what I'm talking about. There's a lip back here, and if you want to snake it all the way along underneath this, all the way back over here, you can do that. We just need to take out this whole piece here. I don't usually mess with that. I usually just tuck it, but I certainly understand those of you that don't want to do it that way. Alright, so now we've got all of our wires over here in the cubby hole, just waiting for us to make our connections. It's very simple the way we do this. We Velcro the amplifier in here. If you want to go and make some elaborate boards or amp racks, you are welcome to do so. It's just not necessary. These are solid state electronics, they're never going to move. So we just give you a big strip of Velcro here. Let's peel off the... We're actually going to mount the amp upside down so that we can have ready access to all of our connections. So just go ahead and move our wires out of the way. Here, I'm just going to take the amplifier like so. And we're going to just hold it down there and get it nice and snug. And you can see the amplifier won't move. So that's exactly what we want to do. So now we just need to make a few sorted connections. We're going to start over here with our power, ground, and remote wire. Remember our remote wire from earlier is this blue wire. It's very simple the way we make these connections. We just take a pair of our wire cutters and we take a Phillips head screwdriver, which of course I've left over here. And we, let's see, where's my light? It's always crazy doing an amp install on film because all these little things you got to remember. You're going to want to make sure everything is open in there. It's just a little screw terminal. As you turn it clockwise, they clamp down on one another. So we'll take our remote turn-on wire, go ahead and cut it. We're going to strip back maybe an inch of insulation, twist the wire together. I always fold it in half. Then you just drop it right down in the little remote turn-on hole. Take your Phillips head screwdriver, turn it until you can't turn it anymore. And you'll see the wire getting crimped down, and that's exactly what we want. We're going to do the same thing with our ground wire here. Let's go ahead and you don't have to use all of it. You can shorten the lengths up significantly. We just do that in the sense of saving our own time when we're making our amplifier kits. So just go ahead and strip a little bit of insulation off the ground wire. Go ahead and slide it down into the ground terminal. Same thing, just screw it down. And this is for just this particular amp we're using. Every amplifier's connections are made slightly differently. So if your amp doesn't look exactly like this, don't worry about it. The connections are all the same, so it's nothing to even think about beyond the connections themselves. So just strip back a half inch or so off of the power and ground wires and slide them down in there. Again, at this point we have not connected the power wire to the battery. We don't want any of these wires to be live while we're working with them, of course. So now we've got our power and ground and remote turn on and all those wires connected. We'll go ahead and take our RCA cables and we'll plug those in Notice the RCA cables we gave you are a little long too. Again, just in the interest of only having to have one size of RCA cables in our amp kits, we use these. So go ahead and plug them in, and you can just tuck the excess wires back there with your LOC. There's plenty of room back there to tuck all this stuff. And then we've got our speaker wires that are going to go in right here that go up to the subwoofer. And I've got those right here. And again, we give you a really long thing of speaker wires. So what we're going to do is just look up here where the carpet and all this meets the area. And we're just going to tuck the speaker wire right back there, grab it with our hands, and pull it down and over to our amplifier where we're going to make our connections. You'll notice it really depends on the wire we send you. This is a monster cable. Just look for the positive and negative. They're usually clearly marked with a plus and a minus for positive and negative. Or you can make it whatever you want it to be. Just keep it consistent. Monster cable, the writing has always been positive, and the solid wire with no writing has always been negative. So we'll take those, and we're going to be bridging the amplifier, and you can see. So on this particular amplifier, the Fosgate 202, you can see the outer positive and the outer negative are the ones we're going to use. It says bridged for the two outer connections. So we're going to use the positive way out here. Go ahead and tighten it down nice and snugly. And the negative. Same thing, just drop it down in there, tighten it up. Take the wire, and you can tuck it however you want back here. There's so much room. Keep it as clean and pretty as possible. You know, so the wires are all nice and clean. And we've sent you some wire ties, so that way you can take your power and ground wires and tape them up against these harnesses back here and make it look all nice and pretty. So I mean, it's clean right now. We can make it a little bit cleaner here with some wire ties. And now you can take this wire up here and go ahead and cut it a little short, since we're going to hang the enclosure up there. We're going to also install in this car a remote control bass knob, meaning a knob that we put up in the front of the car that gives us independent control of our subwoofer. That can take a little bit of time, but it is worth it in the end if it's something you want to do. So to do that, we need to get a cable from the trunk to the cabin. And we've already got the back seat out of this car. You can see that in another video. But what we're going to do is get this remote bass knob and take it up to the front. So we'll join back with you guys here in a minute and go over the installation of the bass control knob. But outside of that, the amplifier install is done. The only thing we need to do is make our power connections over here at the battery.